All right, so we are live, I believe. I'll
Oh,
double check in a
wonderful.
second. We are live. I forgot I had disabled the intro video, so I was expecting there to be some music at the beginning here, but it didn't happen. So, but we're rolling, man.
It's
What's
all
up, bud?
good. We don't need that song anyway.
We don't need that song. I'm getting sick of that song. I need a new song.
Yeah,
I
you
need a
do.
new song. Oh, do you want to write me a song?
Sure. Right
Would
now?
you do that? Not right now,
Okay.
but I mean, if you want to.
Um,
I meant like with your guitar is what I meant. So
what rhymes with Duke? Fluke.
lots of
Rebuke.
lots of lots of bad, bad sounding words rhyme with Duke.
Rebuke the Duke. That's the title. I'm thinking it
That's
might have to have a little country vibe.
that's the gist of this podcast. Country vibe. You
There you
know me
go.
so well.
Yeah, man. Perfect. You're in the dirty South, man.
Yeah, it's true. That's very true. But yeah, I don't know why I didn't think about that before, but I'd love to pursue that if you're down to write me some intro music. For this
We'll try.
podcast.
I need to write myself some songs too. I haven't done
Okay.
that in a long time. Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah. Do you
Um,
play guitar a lot still?
I played yesterday at church for the first time in like I think several months, and it was cool. It felt good. And I play for youth group and stuff, but that doesn't feel. That's just part of my job, you know.
Okay. Do you play like on your own at home?
Not really. No,
Not so
I
much
probably
anymore.
should. No, I don't. I don't know. I don't feel like doing it. I guess I don't know
I was
why.
just thinking. I was just thinking about putting. I don't like my guitar is in a case in my closet, and
Mhm.
so I rarely take it out. But I was just thinking the other day. I was like, I should just get a stand for it and leave it in my room set, and that way I would grab it more, and then I'd be more likely to play it. I'd probably play it every day if it was accessible, and I just walk past it. Like, I'd probably pick it up all the time. So I think
Maybe you
I'm
should
I think I'm gonna
do
do that.
the Uncle Jesse thing where he, around his room that he had those like the stands or whatever that they
Uh
hang on the walls.
yeah, dude, Uncle Jesse,
Uncle Jesse. I was actually thinking about
blast
that
from
this
the
morning.
past.
I was thinking like I've heard that it's not really good for your guitar to be on the wall, but I'm not sure if that's true. But
Oh, really?
if you had one you didn't care so much, or whatever, it seems like it would be a good idea.
These days I have one guitar, and I care about it a lot.
Mm.
So
What is it? Is it a Taylor or a Martin?
it's the Taylor that
Yeah.
I have. Yeah, it's the only guitar that I still have. I don't even remember, man. After moving, like going to Mexico and then going back to New Jersey and then coming to Alabama, I had like three other guitars. I had like a really cheap acoustic guitar, which was the one that I learned on as a teenager. And then I had an Ovation, which was also pretty
Hmm.
cheap. And then I had an electric guitar, and I don't know what happened. I don't know where they are. For the life of me, I can't remember
Wow.
where they ended up. I had a really pretty nice Marshall amp that I lent to a friend who shall remain nameless, and he
It's
watched it
gone.
for me while I was in Mexico, and it is gone. It's gone, and I'm never getting it back. So anyway,
Yeah, I have a couple of those things. But have you ever lost something and then you get it like you lent it to somebody or you did something and then you totally forgot that you lent it to them? Like you had no idea that you did it. You ever have those? And
oh yeah,
then
yeah.
all of a sudden they show up with that, like this happened to me the other day. I was thinking like I've been thinking for the last couple months, like where is my office, like my box set of The Office? I've been looking for it everywhere
Oh
and
yeah.
I kind of give up on it. And then my pastor's wife came and gave me a box of them all and said, "Hey, this is for when we had COVID a couple years ago or whatever, and you gave it to us. So, like for entertainment purposes." Totally. Oh, I remember that now. But at the time, I couldn't remember who I lent it out to, and I thought it was just gone. So I love when they show up like that. Oops.
Dude, I have so many things. There's our token phone call.
Yeah. Gotta unplug this stupid thing.
I have so many things like that, man, from moving back in the day that I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention, or I don't know,
Mhm.
but like I had a whole I had a whole brown grocery bag of like old school Disney VHS, and I
Ooh.
really wish I could remember, like, find who has that,
Mm.
because I mean, if it's still there, I would really like to get those back, because some of those I know are probably worth some money and stuff like that. It's all the originals, like all the original, like Lion King and Little Mermaid and like
Those
all
are
that
worth
stuff.
money
I don't know.
on
But
VHS.
I don't know. But I know I've got the original, like, like, I'm not to be crude, but the original, like, Little Mermaid one that has like the weird
Oh,
stuff on the front
the
of it.
phallus. Yes.
Yeah, the phallic
Yes.
shapes. Yeah,
That's true too. I always thought that was like an internet rumor, but it's true. Those
it's
guys are
true.
kind of scummy.
It's on there. Yep.
Kind of scummy. Like, but then again, if
A lot
you
of
think
weird stuff.
about like if they were in their 20s, right? Early 20s, and
Mhm.
they were just single guys, they're like, hey, I wonder if we get away with putting this in, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that there was some of that immature goofing around stuff going on.
Yeah, it's funny how you expect people. I think growing up, like, I expected people to be adults and to be mature, but then I get grown up and I still don't feel like a grown up, and I'm like, all right, I guess nobody's a grown up. There aren't that many grown ups anymore. Like, there's some people that I look at, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a grown up. Like, that's a real adult human person.
Right.
But
Doesn't
most
feel
of
like
my
it.
friends,
Doesn't feel like we are. It feels like I'm still in my early 20s at times, you know?
yeah,
It still feels like that.
yeah,
I had I had one of those moments where I had to show some identification to prove I was over the age of 21 the other day,
uh
and it was the weirdest feeling when she told me it was okay that she knew I was over 21, and I'm like,
huh.
there was a part of me that died. It's
Yes,
there's so many stupid things too that, like, do you know a lighter you have to be over 18 for or whatever? Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, lighters. Like, there's certain kind of like chemicals that you have to have that for too, like stuff. I can't remember what it is. At least here in New York State, there's a bunch of like weird things that I didn't know you had to have ID for.
That's crazy.
Mhm.
But yeah, I had a similar experience to that. My wife is in the background yelling at me like I'm not on a live stream right now. So
Oh,
give me
that's
1 second.
awesome. That's awesome. Speaking Spanish.
Hang on a sec. What machine? Oh, well, how much is it? I mean, how much water is it? Apparently, we've got a leak going on in the kitchen right now.
Real live talk.
Okay. We'll figure it out. This is real live talk.
Real live
this
talk,
is
ladies and
this
gentlemen.
is as real as it gets. I was gonna say that she's like
She's still going. Wow.
she's upset because the coffee, the Keurig, just she was trying to make a cup of coffee and I guess it overflowed, and and she was, I'm talking about you, honey. It's okay though. She was talking to me like about, she's got an emergency. She's got an emergency in the kitchen, and the emergency that is she doesn't have coffee now. I'm like, okay.
Oh my gosh. Hey, if you need to take care of that, I can run the podcast for a few minutes.
I know you can.
I don't know if I could.
I'll play it by ear. We'll see how it goes. Also, she's listening to us in the kitchen. So
Oh, that's
anyway,
wonderful.
I was gonna say I had a moment like that recently as well. Because if my wife and I go somewhere, like, I mean, for just whatever it is, like, she always they'll always ask her for ID. But it like just started where, and this comes up so rarely that it's not even a thing, but yeah, I think for the first time I went somewhere, I started to, I don't remember what I was needing it for, but I started to pull out my ID, and then they didn't ask for it, and I was like,
Yeah.
it's like
Part of you dies.
my heart sank a little bit.
I used to be
Finally
told
there.
when I worked, I think up until a few years ago, there would be people that would meet me, and some of the older variety of people would say like, wow, you're really young for a pastor, and I used to
Mhm.
not like that. But now that I'm not getting that anymore, I'm kind of like, man, I kind of miss that. I kind of miss
Yeah.
being the young pastor guy.
It's like I'm
you know?
killing it right now.
Yeah,
I'm ahead of
it's
my
great.
time. It's like now we're just normal people. They used to tell us
Exactly.
when I worked in restaurants, they used to tell us to card, at least at Olive Garden where I worked, they told us to card everybody who looked like they were under 50.
Hmm.
That's
It's
what they
probably
just told
safer.
us to do. So just to be like absolutely safe. And then people would get mad at me because like I would card somebody who was like 45 and they wouldn't have their
Yeah.
ID. And then they'd get mad because once you ask for it and
Mhm.
they don't have it, you can't serve them. And so they'd get mad at me for just like,
Well, my uncle owns like a little general store kind of thing, and they've had their liquor license taken away multiple times, and their cigarettes and tobacco products
it's rough.
taken away as well, just because they got a sting, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a guy in the last little village that I lived in. He like got in he like made the news, like he was in the local news because he was like selling to underage kids and not knowing. He's weird too. This guy's like a gypsy, like a
Mm,
modern day gypsy. He's pretty wild.
yeah.
But yeah, I kind of felt bad for him. He got like criminal charges and fines and lost his job and all that kind of stuff. And it really, I mean,
Wow.
it wasn't like he was trying to take advantage of the system. It was just unfortunately, you know,
Hmm.
he wasn't paying it
Yeah.
close enough attention. So yeah, but here's the deal. I found this out. When they do these sting operations, they never bring in somebody who looks 21. So they like if a kid has a beard and he's or you know cigarettes used to be 18, it's 21 now. But if a kid had a beard, they weren't going to send that kid in because it was like unfair. Do you know what I mean? At
Right.
least the
Right.
guy I talked to who does this, or who used to do that for a living, so they won't send in the 14-year-old who has a full grown beard. Like they're going to try to be, you know, take the
Obvious.
14-year-old that yeah, that those
Yeah.
kinds of things. So once you know that, you're like, you probably had no
Yeah.
excuse.
You shouldn't have fallen for it. Yeah. Because I guess they're not trying to entrapment style
Right.
people. Right? But
Right.
yeah. So it's like, this is obvious that you should not have made that mistake.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, man, like where I worked, there was zero tolerance, like anything, even a mistake. If you, because it happened a couple times where somebody accidentally brought the wrong drink to the wrong table and like sat it in front of somebody who was a minor, or even that, and even if they don't drink it, like people would get fired for that,
Wow.
if it was noticed
What was
by
that, the Olive Garden?
somebody and made it back to manager.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah,
That
there
was
was some
that how long did you work there?
man, here in Mobile I worked there for I'm trying to remember, a good 4 or 5 years. It was
Hmm.
a while. Yeah.
Is that the same, like, because I know you guys have that soup and salad deal. Does that actually bring in do you make good money during lunch for that? During the weekdays?
Hit or miss.
Yeah,
It was pretty hit or miss. But yeah, like on in the evening shifts, you do better for sure.
right.
But I would actually work. What I would do. I would work doubles,
Mm,
and I don't know. It's always a game with the scheduling. So like what I would do is I would just have them schedule me for lunch shifts, and then usually if I wanted to, I'd be able to just stay and keep working through. And so what I would do is just I wouldn't a lot of times I wouldn't take a break. So I would kind of be on the later lunch shift
mm.
so I could kind of work through the time and then just kind of keep going through. But then because I did that, they would let me go kind of be like the first person to leave. So it worked out pretty well. Like I would try to, finagle my way around. So I'd work from like 11 to like 8
Yeah,
and basically get both of the big rushes of the day. And, we just
that's cool.
kind of make it work for me.
I never served. I never was a server. I always felt like I would be good at it, but
Hmm.
I don't know why I never did. My wife did for many years. She was a server. That was her job through college and that kind of stuff. But I mean, the closest thing I was to that was working for Papa John's and delivering pizzas. That would probably be.
Okay.
Yep, that
Yeah.
was a good gig though, man. I made good money doing that.
Yeah, bro.
I
That's
enjoyed
awesome.
it
I
too. Myrtle
my,
Beach, it was perfect.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dude. I did. I worked. The first restaurant I worked at was the Melting Pot. Do you know what that is?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So that was in New Jersey, and man, we cleaned up there. We made good
Yeah.
money, but that's a hard job. That's a hard, as far as serving jobs go. That's a hard job
Yeah.
because you have to do a lot. As a server, you have to do a lot. You spend a lot of time at the tables because you're doing a lot of explanation. You're like cooking stuff at the table with them.
Hmm.
You're explaining everything. Like there's safety involved. Like there's all kinds of
Hmm.
stuff that you have to do. And so when you get like several tables, you can really get into the weeds quick. And but that was a fun job, but it was rough. But we made good money there because yeah. Like once I had been there for a little while and got some seniority, we would we'd get kind of first priority on like large parties and stuff like that. And when you put like automatic gratuity on a table, and that's a
Mm.
restaurant where people order a lot of wine and all that kind of stuff, and so we were
Hmm.
making pretty good money back then. That
Money,
was like the
money.
year that was actually while I was at Elam. I
Oh, really?
started, yeah, I started with.
Where's
Did
the
you
melting
know?
pot? Where's that?
Well, I mean, I was in New Jersey. It was like I
Oh,
started there while I was attending Elam, but it was
gotcha.
like the summer before my senior year. I started working there, and then they let me work there coming home on breaks and stuff like that. And
Mm.
then after graduation and all that, then I went and I was working there pretty much full time for about a year, up until the time when I got married, and then we came down to Mexico and all that kind of stuff. So it was a
Wow.
good like in between job to have. And they were only open at dinner. They were only open. They don't do lunch. It's
Oh,
just
yeah,
dinner.
that's
So
right. Yeah, that's
yeah.
not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, my wife did. She did like a seafood buffet place for like a long time. Um, and that was when we lived down south. And then when we came up here, she started hitting up some more like upscale, higher end, where the ticket's going to be a little bit higher.
Yep.
And she enjoyed that. I mean, it got us through until she was teaching full time. And then even then, before children, she was doing it sometimes nights or weekends just to make some extra bucks, even when she was a teacher. So it wasn't bad.
Did you ever do like Uber or anything like that?
No, I never got into that.
That
My
kind of stuff?
brother did a little bit. My brother's done a little bit of everything. He'd be an interesting person to have on here someday, but yeah, he's
Well, why am I
he's
talking to you then?
yeah, I don't
Get your
know.
brother in here.
I could tell you all about him.
No, I'm just
Uh,
joking.
but yeah. So
Yeah.
actually, yeah, my favorite job was definitely like I loved the pizza game. That was just fun. But I would say I've had so many different jobs. The least favorite job I've ever had in my whole
Mhm.
life was Chick-fil-A. And I just love it too much to hate it, man. I just can't.
Wow.
I didn't like it. I was only there for 2 days and then I quit. I couldn't do it.
Are you sure
This
you
is
gave
not
it
my calling.
it's a fair chance in two
Yeah,
days?
dude, seriously, I shaved the first day and I came into work the second day and
Oh.
he was like, "Oh, you have a little stubble." I'm like, "It's a day. Like, are you kidding me?" And he made me go home and shave.
Oh,
And then I was delivering like chicken sandwiches to these punks at Coastal Carolina University. I'd have to like
okay.
bring like, tons of like coolers full of them and bring them and to drop them off at that school so that they could sell them. And that sucks, man. I hated it because I just got out of college and here I am serving college students. Like
Yeah.
it was that. It was just I was only doing it because my buddy, my roommate, his father owned that. He was the operator or whatever for that Chick-fil-A. That was
Mhm.
literally in front of our house. So that was the only reason why I did it. But everything I hated, the uniforms, everything was like, I love this place too much to hate it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I was really only helping out a little bit, but I couldn't do it. And then like John Chappell worked there too. He was there for like 6 months. I couldn't do it. That was my shortest job I've ever had was that.
2
Was
days, yeah.
Chick-fil-A 2 days. Yeah, and I don't even know if I finished the second day. I think after the first day I already knew.
You're like, "I'm out."
Oh, why waste your time if you know?
Yeah. I had a job like when I did my internship. So after my freshman year at Elam, I did an internship with Josh Camp. We were in Tampa working with a youth ministry. and they got us jobs. Well, they said they were getting us jobs, but we still had to go there and like interview and like, go through the process of getting hired. But we got jobs at Busch Gardens.
Oh, wow.
And so I was working on a roller coaster called the Shikra, which was the new roller coaster at the time. And there were aspects of it that were really, really fun. But anyway, I just bring that up because they did the same thing. It was like we had lockers, and we got to the point where we had to like keep razors in the lockers because if we had any kind of like stubble on our face, like we had to shave. Like it was a very, we had to wear these like weird kind of like, it's like shorts with like a tucked in kind of almost like Hawaiian looking shirt, but like kind of like the not Hawaiian, but kind of like looks like palm tree type things. Very, very busy kind of a shirt.
Touristy shirt.
That kind of stuff. And and it was so hot. It was like summer in Tampa. So it was like 900 degrees every day. It would also rain a lot though, which was nice because the rides would get shut down. And so that was kind of like a break. But what was really fun was working the early shift and then getting in there first and like having to test drive the roller coasters.
Oh,
yeah, that part.
I don't know if I'd want to test drive.
It's such an amazing feeling, like being the only person on a ride, like on a roller coaster, being the only person on it, and the park is empty.
Wow.
And so you don't hear any screaming. You don't hear any of that. You just get like these cool views. And, if you like that kind of stuff, like the rush of the ride, which I've always loved it, then it was so much fun. Definitely the best part of the, yeah, I guess there is the thing in your mind of like, I'm the person testing this out, but it worked yesterday. So, I mean, it probably works. Like, probably nothing happened overnight.
Do you know Darien Lake? Do you remember that? Darien Lake?
I know what you're talking. I've actually never been.
So it's a Six Flags now, and they had the Superman, which used to be called the Ride of Steel or whatever. I don't know what it's called now. It might be the Ride of Steel again. They lost their Six Flags thing, and then Six Flags came back. So whatever. It's like it's ridiculous. It doesn't go upside down or anything, but it goes like straight down, and it's definitely scary. It's one of the scariest rides I've ever been on, but that might be because of what I'm about to tell you. So there was this guy this vet that came, and he had no legs. Somebody who'd served our country and had an accident, and he had no legs, but he wanted to ride. And they told him, "Sir, technically you're not tall enough to ride." And he was like, "I would if I had my legs." And they're like, you can't ride this ride. Like, it's like the way that it braces you is down on your thighs. Do you know what I'm talking about? So so unfortunately, he won and got to ride it and died.
Are you serious?
Yep. He fell out. Yep.
Oh,
and it wasn't even at the scariest part. It was at the very end where it just goes down and up, down and up, down and up. He just got loose and passed away. So yeah, that's scary because people have died on these things.
Yeah,
which is like wild. And then they got this 16-year-old punk or 22-year-old Duke running. It's like, you're good, man.
Bro.
You're good.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, it's like these kids. Yeah, it's so crazy. I mean, on that one, I remember there were a lot of kind of like fail safes in place. Like on that ride, I think there were four of us running the ride, like as far as getting people loaded up. So we'd all go around. And yeah, that's the thing, man, is like going around and checking the harnesses. Like, so you pull on each one, you pull on the seatbelt and make sure that they're, snug. Sometimes you'd be pushing them in a little bit more, make sure they're a little bit tighter, that kind of thing. And I just remember that stuff always terrified me because I'm always like a double and triple checker with like anything in my life. And I'm like, this is people's lives. Like, I want to make sure that everything's good. And then we all had to like, I think, push a button at the same time in order for the thing to dispatch. And so it was a whole thing. There was a lot then there was someone up in the actual control room like above us that was like letting it go. And so there was a lot of that kind of stuff, but we still had to, like if somebody's harness was loose or something like that. I mean, I remember one time being in a situation on a boardwalk ride where like we were upside down and like my thing was like loose. Like I
Right.
was like I was terrified for my life in that moment. But
Ugh.
that was a boardwalk thing, so that they're not quite as highly regulated.
No, that's like the carnivals, right? We actually
Yeah,
have
basically.
I feel like I've told you this before, but we actually have a family in my church that owns like a carnival company.
Oh yeah,
They're
that's
carnies.
awesome.
Yeah, they're straight
That's
up
awesome.
carnies. And, they
Sweet.
even tell me it's like trying to find people who will do that for a living. You're not getting the greatest
Yeah,
workforce. It's a little risky.
yeah,
But they do that and they're a huge blessing to the church too, because there's multiple times where they have given us, like, every year they give us a water slide bounce house and another bounce house for our picnic. And when we've done like VBS things, like we just did one which had like a train theme, they donated like a train ride, for one of,
yeah.
like, just cool stuff like that. They've done over the years multitude, tons of like blow up stuff, because they do that on the side as well, rentals. Um, and the best thing is they do food. So whenever we go to like some kind of like, festival or carnival and they're there, it's like unlimited whatever I want. It's crazy. It's not good for me, but man, fried dough is fried dough. I mean, just call it what it is.
Fried dough is legit.
Fried dough is fried dough.
Yep. So how's your heart today, man?
My heart
So
feels good.
legitimately somebody so I don't remember who I was listening to. Somebody said that recently they were saying that in their relationship with their spouse, that they started asking that question, how's your heart, instead of so in other words, instead of just asking like how are you, which
Hmm.
you can just say I'm fine. They're just like kind of adding that intentionality of just like asking somebody, hey, like how's your heart today. So it's kind of like it makes you think a little bit more of like, oh, like I probably need to actually give a real reason and not just say, oh, my heart's good and move on. But anyway, I
No,
meant
now
that
I'm thinking about it. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know.
I was thinking along the lines of Buffalo.
Oh, I was
When I
hoping you
asked
wouldn't
you.
bring that up.
We don't, yeah, put the hood up.
I I told him that if I didn't want to talk about a subject, I'd put my hood up. So
We
here we
can move
are.
along. No, I literally just it popped up on my Facebook feed just like just now of saying that I wanted to say Eli Manning, Daniel Jones had like 153 passer rating. And I was like, the dude only threw like 17
Wow.
passes.
Wow.
But I guess just it supposedly, I don't even know if it's accurate or not because Facebook doesn't always tell the truth, but it was like um they said it was like the highest passer rating of anybody this season. And that's an extremely high passer rating, 150. I think it was
Hmm.
like 153.6. But he only threw, I think, 17, but he was like 13 of 17, I think. And 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So it was just like a very, very
Better than Josh
clean score,
Allen.
but he didn't throw too many passes.
Well, I think honestly, that's where I think the Buffalo Bills organization, the team, needs to get to the point where Josh can't do everything.
Mm,
Defenses are starting to play him very much like they did. Patrick Mahomes last year he struggled it's honestly looks very similar to what Josh is doing now. Last year, Pat Holmes was struggling with, trying to force balls in the areas that he probably shouldn't. And defenses are just playing a shell. So they're just running a zone shell around them.
right,
So
right.
Josh isn't taking what the defense is giving him. He's literally doing the same things he's always done, which is what Pat Mahomes did too. And the best quarterbacks always figure it out. He will. He'll figure it out. But right now it's in that it's just a different thing. And when you don't have a really good established running game or an answer for that, it makes things a little challenging. So
Mm,
I feel like he does a lot of hero ball, um tries to put the weight of the world on his shoulders, and
for
then
sure.
that's what happened. I mean, I don't know if you saw after he threw the last interception, which was disgusting. He
Yeah,
just
I
he
did see it.
it looks like he was hurt, but it was really just a
Mhm.
broken heart. He was just like
Yeah,
you could just see his heart was all messed up from it. But,
yeah.
I'm trying to have a good attitude about it. My daughter is trying to figure out why I'm upset when we're good and we're playing good games, she's 10, and
Mhm,
I don't know what it is. I think, like, you see this up there that on the top of my head here, that's like a seat from that Super Bowl, and
yeah,
it's like,
26.
that was the last time they were good. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
And
yeah,
during for 18 years, they were terrible. So when they'd lose games like this, it was like, what? No big deal, like, hey, they played a good game, but now it's like,
right.
no, you win those games. It's just
Yeah,
it's a
the
weird feel.
expectations are up, you know?
Yeah, and it feels bigger too here in Western New York. It feels like your whole, um,
Mm,
it just feels like your culture is hurting. It doesn't feel. It's not just you.
yeah,
It feels like
mhm,
that everybody's going to be kind of bummed out at work tomorrow. I don't, it just feels more of like an identity of the Bills in Western New York. Like, we don't have a lot of good things. Um, and to have them good, it's just, it means so much to everybody. You can see it. Like, I don't think it's like this in other places, but I went to Dollar General yesterday and the lady that was
mhm,
working there was in full garb, Bills gear, painted
mm,
face. And I'm like, I don't know if you get that. You might get that in Green Bay or something, but it
yeah,
feels
yeah,
like there's just something happening here where it's just wrapped up into our culture, our DNA. That's why when people say it's just football, I'm like, it's not though. There's more to
yeah,
this. It's
yeah.
speaking. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the what the SEC says, like, it just means more, you know?
Yep.
Because that's how it is down here with Alabama,
Mm.
and, I don't care at all, really. I mean, I'm into it, you know,
I
I'm
loved when
into
LSU
I
beat
keep up
them.
with it, but
I was
not
so
gonna lie,
happy.
I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. I don't know what it is, but I was cracking jokes on our in our church on Sunday morning that
Mm. Oh man, that's dangerous. That's
it is
dangerous,
dangerous.
Duke.
It is dangerous because people don't really.
Oof.
I find it funny because I know I'm joking, but most people actually probably take it more serious than anything. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not over this yet.
I
But
didn't it is similar to that though. It's kind of like a college feel here in the NFL
yeah,
because we don't college football is not big. I mean,
right,
UB
exactly. Yeah.
is our closest team is the University of Buffalo, and they've had okay seasons. I mean, that's where
Mhm.
Khalil Mack came from. So
Yeah.
we've had some years, but it's not like you guys, like,
Yeah.
or LSU or any of like those big. Or when I was down in Myrtle Beach, that was like the big thing. Like, you got to pick a team, and the two teams you could pick from were Clemson Tigers and the Gamecocks. And
Right.
I wasn't gonna pick a team that was a chicken and said the word cock in it. So I picked the Tigers.
You're like,
They
I don't want to have to regularly talk about this.
and I love the orange colors too, way better than that burgundy reddish color.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't like that. So
Mhm.
I went with the Tigers when I was down there. When I was in Michigan, that was, you got to go with Michigan State or Michigan University. So the Wolverines sound cool and they're blue. I like their colors more. So that's
Yeah.
literally everything is
Yeah.
based on colors
Yeah.
and their mascot.
Yeah. Well,
Which
I
a
still
Buffalo Bill, what
gravitate.
is that? I don't even know what a
Yeah.
Buffalo Bill is. It's stupid, but I
Yeah,
love it.
like, I still gravitate toward the up north teams. Like, I always was into Penn State and Notre
Mhm.
Dame, and that's kind of who I liked growing up just for whatever reason. I mean, Penn State made sense because I was pretty c not too far away in New Jersey from them. Never really cared about Rutgers, but, like, Penn State was kind of my college team, and again, I wasn't super into it because it was more. I mean, people
Mhm.
in New Jersey don't really care all that much about college football. Like, I didn't
Right.
really. I was kinda into him. I think I had, like, I had some gear, like a little football with Penn State logo on it as a kid, which probably made me like, "Oh, yeah, that's my team," kind of a thing. And I had, like, a
Mhm.
Notre Dame windbreaker jacket kind of a thing, and so
Hmm.
I got into
No,
Notre
you had the
Dame
starter
football.
half sip. Did you have
Yeah,
the
the
starter
starter, yeah, yeah, exactly,
with
the
the little
half zip.
pocket?
Yep,
I love those,
yep,
man. I
the pouch in the front.
I
Yep.
had that one too. I found it in the woods.
Really?
Yeah, this is kind of a
on a dead person or just laying there?
no. This is kind
Is
of
this
it's kind of sad actually because it was probably I think I did something wrong, but we were hiking in the Adirondacks and we're in the middle and we went off trail to go check out like we went to go check off like this creek, right? Like this creek that was
crick?
around, and
Yeah.
my dad was like, hey, I think maybe there's some place we could swim or wash up a little bit. So we were hiking. So we went off the beaten trail and we went over and I see this like brand new starter half zipped hoodie that we're talking about. I see it hanging on a tree. And so I yell out, hello, anybody
Those
here?
naturally occur in the wild, so
Right. It was weird.
that was fair game. Yeah.
So it was just like hanging, like looked like it like fell off a pack or whatever, but we weren't on a trail. So I told my dad, and he's like, well, let's take it and then we'll leave a note at the entrance with our, our phone number and our address. This is before cell phones, but at least we can say at the entrance, like if they leave and they're looking for it when they sign out, because you're supposed to sign in and out, that
Mhm.
they'll see that we found the jacket and we'll ship it to them or whatever. But nobody ever hit us up, so I got a free jacket.
Hey, man.
And I
You
loved
did.
that thing, man. I loved that thing. It was like I wore that for like 2 years all the time. My favorite one was that
Mhm.
Hornets though. That 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 Hornets one was
Yep.
sick with those.
My friend Dan had that one. My best friend growing up.
Everybody
He
knows
had that one.
everybody knows somebody who had that, I
Yep.
think.
Yeah. Did they not have them for like every team? Is that because I feel like it's interesting that we both had the Notre Dame one and that we're very much aware of the Hornets. Like there's certain ones that like I are very vivid that a lot of people had. So, but I feel like every team must have had them. So I just find that.
Those were so popular though. I feel like I don't know why. Well, it's like it was the colors. I don't know. The Fighting Irish were big in the 90s though. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Rudy helped that. Man,
Yeah.
those I think especially like in that pop culture in the 90s that the Hornets were there. The Chicago Bulls, I remember seeing those a lot. But no,
Mhm.
they must have had made them for all the franchises. Those are just the popular ones we saw,
Yeah.
And then I remember I got a starter jacket. It was my first one, and it was a Dallas Cowboys one because for those who don't know, I grew up liking both teams. So yeah, I wore it to school, and this kid came up to me and was like, "Starter, huh? Everybody knows Apex is cooler." I was so mad.
Burn.
Apex. Do you remember Apex?
I remember Apex, yeah.
Yeah, that was that, and then there was one more. There was a couple of them that were big, but Starter was the big one. Starter was the big one. And I don't know if you remember this back then, but Champion was a pretty big brand.
Mhm.
And then Champion
Yeah.
went like disappeared. And now Champion's huge and all the kids want to wear Champion. So
That's
weird.
crazy. That is crazy. I
Yeah.
didn't know. I never knew that they like I guess I never thought about them disappearing, but yeah, I guess for a long time you didn't see it.
Well, no, because they were I'm thinking, yeah, they were in Walmart they were like a Walmart brand. Like, Reebok is Walmart now, which is crazy. But they changed the logo a little bit. Like they're not gonna I've noticed this. Like Champion, when they were with Walmart, they wouldn't use the actual Champion logo. They did like a
Uh-huh.
secondary logo, kind of
Okay.
like how Fender has Squire,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
feels like that, but they still had the Champion name, but it wasn't the same kind of quality or whatever. And then I feel like the same thing is with Reebok because you look at it and that's not the same logo I think they use. It feels like it's a secondary logo.
Oh.
There's some kind of marketing thing in there because I'm sure this is going to happen. I'm sure that they're going to come back and they're going to be big again. But like Reebok was making, I mean, remember jerseys were Reebok. Everybody like not too
Right.
long ago, like in the 2000s, jerseys
Mhm.
were Reebok. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird. I'd love to study brands someday. I like looking at those trends though and seeing what's going big again. I don't know if you've noticed this with the youths that they're wearing
The
baggier
youths.
pants again. The pants are getting baggy. And
Excuse
I'm
me.
just telling you, dude, Jenkos are coming back. They're coming. And I'm gonna hate every second of it.
I'm not ready for that, man.
And I'm not gonna follow that trend.
Bro, my pants were so baggy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
were they called parachute pants? Like there were these
Our
pants that I
parents
used to
called them that.
where where that were like,
Parachute material.
yeah, right? Like,
And
I
then
don't
they
even
had
know
like
how
the
to I can't even
cargo
think of how to
pockets.
describe them.
He had
But
the cargo pockets and
they
weird
were very
zippers.
expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as a teenager, on teenager money, they were very expensive, and I
You
would
went
get
to
them
Pac
anyway, and
Sun.
I
You had to
loved
go to
them. Pac Sun, bro.
yeah, man.
Pac Sun was my store.
They always had weird
Pac
zippers
Sun and
though.
Lids for hats were like
Oh yeah.
my two spots at the mall.
They always had weird zippers though. Those parachute pants.
Oh,
It's
they
like
had zippers
what's
everywhere.
this zipper for? I don't know. It looks
Yeah,
cool.
zippers everywhere, like halfway down the calf. Just
Halfway
like
down the calf.
zippers there.
In case your calf
What?
needs to breathe. You never know.
So you're finding that the bagginess is coming back around.
Yeah, and bowl cuts.
Bowl cuts.
Dude, I'm telling you, there's a kid in my church, not kid, he's like 17, 18.
Uh-huh.
And I saw him yesterday and he had a flipping bowl cut. I'm like, this kid is parting his hair down the middle and it looks like a bowl. It's not technically a bowl cut, but it looks like it. And I'm like, what? We've gone through this before. We don't have to go here again. These are like the worst trends of the 90s that you guys think are cool. Like, you look like you belong on Dawson's Creek, man. Like,
Yeah.
if I could talk to him, I would tell him this is a bad look, man. This is a bad look. And I know because I've gone through the same thing. Baggy pants, they're all bringing them back. Girls are wearing bell bottoms again and bootlegs.
Yes.
It's all coming. It's coming full
Yeah,
circle.
we pretty much have, what would you say, like 20-year cycles for clothing. Like, everything comes back. The fanny packs came back, man, like a few years ago. I feel like it didn't really catch on as far as like the way that it used to, but I saw that kind of trend coming back around. It's everything comes back around at some point, and you never think that it's going to. You never think, like, you think that, like, we're so far past that there's no way we're going back to that again. But then somehow it becomes trendy to pull up these like fashion trends from back then. I even see that you see those trends in music as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
I
it's just,
wonder
anyway.
if like that Kid Rock style is going to come back too. Like, is that where we're going? Are we going to get Limp Bizkit again? Where is this thing headed?
Like the butt rock
ARSP there, ARSP on YouTube said better than trip pants. Those were the weird baggy emo pants with the chains all over them. Dude, chains were like, let's take that back. I think that punk rock, like early 90s punk rock, like you had chains, you had those weird necklaces with the silver balls all over them. Like that's where it came from. I wouldn't say that was emo though. I would say that was probably more goth, like a goth kind of style. Right. And everybody confuses emo and goth now. I feel like removed. But emo, if we're going to be like legit what emo really is, you got to go back to like those 90s, like Get Up Kids, Saves the Day, even Take Back Sunday, I'll throw in there. Mineral, Juliana Theory, Sunny Day Real Estate. We're just having fun now. But those types, that style was that's the original emo, and that was like nerdy, kind of like more I would say more like preppy in a way. But then I think when My Chemical Romance came, then that shifted into more what he's talking about. More, it started looking more goth, and people were like wearing more makeup and stuff like that, darkening your eyes. They would paint their nails black. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. Did you ever were you were kind of probably more on like the preppy side, right? Like growing up, or what was did you ever go further down
I went through
any of those fashion trends?
I was in that phase where I had the Jenkos, where were the giant leg pants that Like I
Mhm.
can't even get them in frame. That's how big they were. I had a couple pairs of those, and I would wear like the skate shirts, the World Industries and stuff like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
hookups, that kind of stuff, but not the ones with the girls on it because my mom wouldn't let me. But I would wear all those, and then I went because I was for those who don't know, I was in this punk rock band, and that was like the image, right? So when that band broke up, I went back to high school because it for other reasons, and I went back to high school my last 2 years, and that's when I realized, oh, I don't even have a pair of jeans anymore. Like I was wearing
Mm.
Dickies and that kind of stuff.
Right,
So
right.
I definitely was morphed by the culture then. I started making my own money, so I started getting so I definitely went more towards that like preppy emo, like early emo nerdy look because that was the one that kind of associated better with culture, I think. So I didn't want to really stand out with black hair anymore.
Yeah.
you know, yeah. Like,
Yeah, I
look at I'm
never
blonde. I can't
yeah.
black hair. I look like a moron. Did you ever dye your hair goofy color?
Dude, I did the frosted tips,
I thought you still did that.
you know?
Oh,
Oh, snap. Nope, just gray.
that's just great.
Just grays everywhere. Yeah, man. No, I just remember in my like toward the end of high school, I started getting like I don't know, man, like pretty obsessed with my image
Yeah,
and
man.
all of that, and I started I don't know, man, like kind of getting into like the term like metrosexual was kind of like tossed around a lot back then. I remember a friend of mine like as a joke bought me a book. It was like the metrosexual's guide to
That's
like
funny.
something. It was like all this stuff. And I don't know, man. I just remember getting like very like like I cared a lot. I started kind of like shopping at like Abercrombie and like that was kind of the big thing back
I couldn't
then and like
afford Abercrombie,
feeling
man.
bro, I couldn't either. I could not either. But so like Hollister was like another one that was not
You're
quite as
wearing
expensive but still
you're
pretty
wearing the
pretty
shirt
expensive.
right now,
I
but
am wearing. Yeah, so like this hoodie is probably like
20
15
years
years
old.
old. It's like crazy old.
That's
I
awesome.
probably got this. I know my sister actually bought this for me, and it was probably like college days, honestly.
Wow.
So yeah, it's just stood the
I'm
test of
looking to
time.
see what their style looks like now because I'd be yeah, it definitely is scaled down
Yeah,
more than it was. I mean, remember everything was about logo prints. Although they still have Hollister on the front of their stuff, but a lot of it looks, to be honest with you, a lot of this kind of looks like H&M kind of
yeah.
style now. Some
I'm cool with it, man. Like I'm cool with all that kind of stuff. I eventually kind of for a little while, like I went a little bit more like I started, the jeans got a little bit tighter and I just started rocking like black, zip ups. And so
oh yeah.
never really, full on anything,
I
but that was kind
remember
of just the
I remember where we were, what store we were at. I remember it was when we first got married, my wife started getting she wanted to get skinny jeans, and I literally told her that they look stupid and not to get them. Like cuz she would wear the bootleg back then. And now I'm like, I know where we were. We were outside. We are in Express, and she said, "I want to try these jeans." I'm like, "Don't get those jeans. Nobody. That's gonna be over so soon. Nobody's ever gonna wear
yeah.
those." I was so
Yeah.
wrong. I was
Yeah.
wrong. Yeah, and I'm glad she did because I mean, looking back now, I'm like obviously they look normal now, but at the time they just
Yeah.
look so goofy.
Hmm.
I don't know if anybody remembers them. Now I'm
Yeah.
wearing them pretty much. But being a short guy, because I'm pretty short, it feels as if like all of my jeans like are better fitting now because they're not like dragging on the ground like I
Right.
was,
Right.
when I was younger.
Yep. Yeah. I was always walking on my pants back in the day.
Yo, have you tried this right here? Shout out to anybody
Is it
watching that.
LaCroix? Is that how you pronounce that?
It's LaCroix, but this is the
I have
best.
not tried it.
This is the best one.
I'm
This is
not into it, man.
limoncello, and
Limoncello.
it's
I
got
haven't
like
tried
a
that brand, but I'm not into it. My wife does the brand is Ice,
mm,
and I feel like we've had this conversation before on the
may have,
podcast, but
but
maybe not.
now with these, man, these are like I don't think since we've been these are my new jam. I used to like
What's new?
lemon lime. because it had like a Sprite kind of feel. But whatever's in this, I don't know. Somebody apparently limoncello. It's LIMONCELLO. But somebody told me that that, that this is some kind of like alcoholic drink in Italy or something, or
Oh,
Spain.
really?
Spain makes more sense. And I don't know if it is. This is obviously not alcoholic, but it has like there's like a vanilla undertone or overtone afterbirth taste.
Afterbirth.
Should we talk about that real quick? I don't know. I think it's one of the
Let's
best
just
things.
do it. Let's just do it.
Hold on, let's read some comments. We
Yeah,
got some comments here. These are
yeah.
Caleb Taylor says
Shout
this
out
is
to my
great.
boy Caleb for saying this is a great conversation about literally nothing. Appreciate that.
It's our best one. And then ARSP says, I was the first guy in my school in my youth group to buy skinny jeans, and
Yes.
they just started making them for dudes. Oh yeah, because before that you had to buy girl
pants.
jeans. That's
Yeah,
right.
So everybody was buying girl pants. That was crazy.
And everyone either thought I was really cool or a huge dork. Hey man, you're a trendsetter. I gotta give it to you. Trendsetter. I wasn't there. I was too scared. I jumped on the bandwagon later. And when I realized that as a bigger dude, a shorter, bigger dude, that at least those baggy pants weren't doing me any favors in the dressing like a normal person podcast or whatever. So I read podcast. I was reading his podcast name and I read podcast. I did a Joe Biden. Don't read the teleprompter. What did? Oh man, that guy cracks me up every day. He always does something new.
You know, like Ron Burgundy reading everything on the teleprompter.
That's right.
So they type a question mark. I'm Ron Burgundy.
Yeah. Caleb said he was born in early '97. So the trip down memory lane was amazing. Well, I don't know. I would love to. Okay, 97. So if he was born in 97, so like I guarantee his first video game console was a Nintendo Wii. I will guarantee that was
in 97.
97. No. Well, he was born in 97, so his first console.
Oh, yeah.
Would be like 2006.
You're right.
So I'm gonna guess it was, and like he could have had a GameCube, maybe an Xbox, but I'm gonna guess it was the Wii. We'll find out if he's still listening. He probably just went back to work like a normal person. So
Denise is back to work like a normal person. No, he's probably still there. What was it, Caleb? Let's hear. Denise loves both skinny jeans and bell-bottom jeans. So, I feel like that's what it's about, man. You don't have to like conform to one thing. That was a big deal. Like when I was in high school, I felt like I had to I feel like everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people to an extent feel like they've got to conform to something. I feel like that's maybe not as big a thing today as it was when I was in like when you and I were growing up. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Maybe it is. You can actually probably correct me on this because you spend more time with youths than I do.
Youths.
But I feel like, there was a lot of definition to like what you're talking about, like, the goth kids, the emo kids, the preppy kids, all this kind of stuff. And when I was particularly in high school, I didn't really fit into any group, but I was able to kind of be like on the outskirts of like a lot of different groups. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of a weird thing. Like I didn't have a particular way, like, oh, this is how I define myself, or this is how I fit in, or whatever. But it was something that I felt like at the time was almost kind of problematic, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I feel like, man, it's like, just do what you want. Like, you don't have to fit into, because I feel like music and clothing are kind of like the two things that really tend to define where people fit in, or like how they interact with other people. Because you kind of tend to gravitate toward people, obviously, who look like you or that like the same things as you. That
if
kind of
I
stuff.
Find somebody who likes the kind of music that I still enjoy, it's like instant friendship. It feels like that now. Like, oh, do you like? And if I say this, like, I kind of start off like, What do you think about like Dashboard Confessional? You like that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Like I'll kind of like
Gotta
feel them
ease into
out.
it.
Like, have you ever? And then like, do you like August Burns Red? Or a lot of people do,
Yeah.
which is
You
surprising.
don't just start with like, what do you think about terror? Like
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
you
yeah.
kind of ease your way in.
Well, we were totally off with Caleb, man. I was totally off. Caleb's first
So
console was
PS2.
PlayStation 2. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. But I guess now that I look back on it, that was a pretty popular console. That too was really popular. And then ARSP says that his was the Sega Genesis, and he was born in '93. Man,
I respect that, man.
I respect that
Um,
too. I love the Genesis. I wanted one so bad growing up, and my parents would never get me one. I was like,
we had
man,
the original Nintendo, and it was like that was it at the time. I mean, I didn't. I was kind of past the age of Atari. I was born in '86,
mhm.
so I was probably getting consoles when we were, yeah, probably early to mid '90s when we started, playing video games. And so it was the original Nintendo, and I mean that was the thing at the time. And then over the next several years, it was like PlayStation, not PlayStation, but it was like the Sega
Super
Genesis
Nintendo.
and the Super Nintendo were kind of on the same wavelength. But I went Super Nintendo. Most of my friends had a Sega Genesis,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah, I went Super Nintendo.
We did get the Super Nintendo, and I remember, I'll never forget it because my father said, in order for you to get the Super Nintendo, you have to give away your Nintendo, your original, to somebody who doesn't have a
Oh.
gaming system. So we gave it to this bunch of homeschoolers, and my brother was so devastated because he played Kirby's Adventure or something like Kirby Land Adventure or whatever.
Mhm.
And he was like, "Look at the graphics; they're so good. They're so good. Look at them." And I'm like, "Dude, Super Nintendo's way better. We're gonna get this." And then for years, literally, this isn't even a joke. This is like my father torturing me. My dad used to come home from work. He worked at this place called Moog that they do
Mhm.
airplane stuff, and they also have done rides and stuff like the Amazing Spider-Man ride that came out like 20 years ago. They did that
Yeah.
ride, and so they're into Moog is pretty big, definitely Air Force or airspace kind of stuff. But he would come home and he's like, guys, found out the super or the Nintendo 2000 is coming out. This was like in the 90s.
Yeah.
2000 Nintendo 2000. He's like, yeah, it's coming out, super secret, can't tell you about it, but
Yeah.
when it comes out, I'll get you that. So literally, I remember when the GameCube came out, we're like, is this it? And he's like, no, no, they're not ready for it. It's too far ahead of its time. And we're like, oh, okay. So then the Wii, nope, that's not it. And here we are, to this day, my dad still is playing up the joke that there is a Nintendo 2000 in the works. Like, here we are. He's in, he just turned 70. He's been keeping this joke going for 30 years. Keeps saying that, yeah. Oh yeah, Super Nintendo or the Nintendo 2000's coming out. So we always ask him, "Hey Dad, where's that Nintendo 2000? Can you get one for our grandkids?"
Yeah. That's like I used to watch growing up, like even way back when it was Conan, like Conan O'Brien on late night, when it was late night with Conan O'Brien.
Right. Yeah.
Back like the original, like when he had Andy Richter, like I used to watch it back then.
On
And so like
TBS.
in
Yeah.
the 90s, it was like no, before that, it
Oh,
was
when he
just
was
late.
on
It was
NBC, when he was,
on
yeah, yeah,
after Leno, yeah.
Leno.
Like
Yep.
yeah. And so when it was in the 90s, they would do this segment called In the Year 2000, where they would yeah,
2000.
in the year 2000. Yeah, so they would do that, but it was just hilarious because then in like 2001 and 2 and 3, I don't know how long they kept it going,
Mhm.
but they would just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Like way after the year 2000, they would just keep doing it, like acting like they're looking into the future. It was pretty great.
Everything had like 2000 was the name that you either wanted or you wanted to run away from, because remember, Y2K was a legit scare for a lot
Yeah.
of people. I know a guy who built a flipping bunker like because of Y2K. That was like the first when prepping became like a real thing, was that
Yeah, man.
Y2K, like for
Yeah.
real. And then COVID
That
happened.
right. Yeah, yeah. It was, man, that was such a crazy thing.
Oh, we got Alex
Y2K.
Seidler shows up in the chat here. He said
Go
go
Giants,
Giants.
baby.
Shut up,
7 and
Alex.
2.
I hate you guys.
7-2. Dude,
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention because I wasn't paying attention to like the dates of things. So I'm stoked because we've got Giants Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day,
Yeah.
and I'm so pumped. And we
Bills are
always
playing
lose to
too,
the
man.
Cowboys,
They brought the
but we got
Bills. They brought the Bills again for one of those afternoon games.
yeah, that's so cool, man. It's gonna be a
So,
good day.
oh yeah, and as much as I'm not really a big Cowboys fan, they played. That was a pretty cool game yesterday with Aaron Rodgers. I really enjoyed that one. So, yeah, man, we're jumping all over topics here, but we're kind of going with the crowd. I like it. I
Well, I want
like
to
it.
go back to Caleb mentioned Tony Hawk. Like I was so into Tony
Man.
Hawk's Pro Skater. Like I was so into that. Like that
Mm-hmm.
game was like my life because I
That's
was into
awesome.
skating back then.
I was into it,
And
but I wasn't good at it.
I never got good at it. I got to where I could land a few tricks. I could do this like uh man, we even had a skate park down the street from our house, and
Wow.
I got to the point where I could like drop in on like the 6-footers and stuff like that. There were 8-footers that I was just always too terrified to even try. And I remember, dude, like I jacked up my hip just trying to learn how to drop in on the 6-footer. And just falling on the same spot like over and over again on the same day, not even realizing it because I'm not looking. I'm wearing, obviously I'm wearing shorts, and but not paying attention, and then like get home and I've got this like giant wound that did not heal for a long time. But anyway, eventually I figured it out. But yeah, I never got like good at that kind of stuff, like the vert stuff. I would just kind of go around and like kind of go up and go back down. Like I never really got where I could do tricks.
So that
But just like
game
kind of
was
the
your outlet.
standing,
That game
it
was
was
the
my
outlet.
outlet, bro,
It
for
had to
sure,
have
for
been.
sure. I would do like
We
the
didn't have
standing
that.
tricks, like the kick flips and the,
You could
pop
do a
shove
kickflip.
its, and I could do for some reason just like a straight kick flip always eluded me, but I could do this thing. I think they called it a varial flip where it it was like imagine a kick flip and pop shove it in one. So like the board flips and spins.
Oh wow,
And I could do that. And
weird.
like it was just like maybe the way that I would just position my foot. I could never get it to just like the kick flip and the heel flip were always just tricky for me. But I would just
I
do,
landed more heel
little things.
flips than I did kick flips. I can remember. I probably have only done like three kick flips in my life, and then like maybe 5 heel flips. But I remember every single
Mm-hmm.
one of them because it was
Yeah.
like I got it, and then I could never get it
Yeah.
again. I'm like son of a gun. But what? But the other thing with Tony Hawk Pro Skater is that game like legit, y'all. Like that game had the best soundtrack, and that's what got me into different bands I'd never heard of, like Pennywise. I
Yeah.
got really big into Rancid, which brought me back to like Operation
Mm,
Ivy. Like they had so many, there were so many good like underground artists, underground, I guess you could call them. I don't know
that's
if
true.
back then that's what it felt like. That and Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX had a lot of good tracks on it too. I think that's where I heard Less Than Jake for the first time.
Oh
And
man.
do you think
Now I'm trying to remember because there were a couple songs on Tony Hawk's that I loved, and I'm trying to remember. I can't remember what they
which one?
were.
Tony Hawk Pro 1 or 2?
The first one.
Yeah, they have you can like listen to it on Spotify. They have the soundtrack on there. It's pretty sweet. They had like they had you probably liked it was probably Goldfinger. Would you say Goldfinger was a
How does the
I don't know.
how does it go?
Some of these they kind of elude me because I the first one. I mean, they had Dead Kennedys, Goldfinger, some I've never heard of. Suicidal Tendencies, Primus
Mm,
or Primus. I remember Primus. Yeah, the Suicide Machines. That
oh
was
yeah, yes, Superman, right?
yeah,
Uh, how did it go though? I can't remember how it went. Uh,
dude. But the
and we
number
can't play it
two,
because we'll get shut down. But
number two was a little better. Well, no, because number two had like Bad Religion. Public Enemy,
Well,
Millencolin.
this is a big deal. Caleb said found out about Jimmy Eats World because of Tony Hawk's Underground 2. Like that's a big
Oh wow!
to get turned on to Jimmy Eat World like that way. Like that's a pretty big deal.
When I was trying to figure out when the first time I heard Jimmy Eat World. It could have been. It could have been through that. I don't remember. But that, if you think about that genre, it doesn't really fit perfectly with skating, right? Here. And I think that scares you. Kickflip, like drop in. I don't know. It's weird.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe with like that one album that they had, Bleed American, I could see it that.
It's more like the punk stuff, I guess, that was more like, yeah.
Dude, I love that album. I might listen to that. Thank you, Caleb. I might listen to Jimmy Eat World on the way home now. I might be in that.
Right.
But that
I'm
Matt
putting
Hoffman,
I'm putting Go Giants back up on the screen. I'm just gonna let that hang out there for a little bit, but keep talking.
Well, I'm looking at that Matt Hoffman. That was that Matt Hoffman soundtrack. I'm looking that up. That his Pro BMX soundtrack. That sucker, dude. That thing was so good. Yeah, dude. They had all kinds of stuff on it. They had Face to Face, Pennywise, Bad Brains.
Yeah.
Like just
yeah.
some really good
that
stuff.
One on Tony Hawk? It was like Jerry was a race car driver, 22 years.
That's Primus.
That's Primus. Okay.
Yeah, they did.
That's the one that's like always in my head.
I'm pretty sure that's the one. But it's funny, that game was so huge, and it tapped into that little subculture that you never thought would. It's just amazing to me that the influence that game had. You know, you can talk about Madden and all those, and they were great, but Tony Hawk, man, I got it.
Well, as you said, it was
Xbox.
an outlet for you know,
yeah,
certain kind.
Well, because you got to remember, like skate videos were huge, super big. I just actually literally found an old VHS tape that my old youth pastor gave me, and he was like, "Hey, you think you can put this online?" And it was like a old show of like my first band that I was in. Wow. I was like this little 14-year-old kid playing guitar, and we were playing like Ramones and the Huntingtons and stuff like that, MXPX. Wow. And I was going back, but after that video, guess what was on it? G-Rock. Did you ever get some G-Rock? Do you know what G-Rock is? Oh my gosh. Okay. So G-Rock was on the Total, what is it? Christian Broadcasting Network. What is that? TBN? But it was on at midnight.
TBN is Trinity
Broadcast Network. Sorry. So that was on midnights only on Saturday nights at midnight. So Sunday morning. And I would stay up late because they would show skate videos with different bands. That's where I discovered Squad 5-0. Supertones were on it all the time. Like, so
strike back.
Exactly. That stupid Grits video, They All Fall Down, was on like every week.
We all fall down. We all fall down. We lay it down flat. Anyway,
they had them all. So like I look back, and it wasn't like CCM stuff. That was probably as most CCM as it got. But most of the stuff they had was like Squad 5-0 or Tasty Snacks, you know, a bunch of Betty Rocket records and Screaming Giant records. Like, that's where Officer Negative, like that kind of raw punk rock stuff that they had. And I look back and I ended up digitizing some of it so I could throw it up on YouTube because there's no copyright stuff or any of that anymore. And I won't monetize it. I'll just throw it up there for fun. But that show was huge. And if the reason why I bring it up is because think about skate videos, right? So skate videos, you got used to watching somebody else do them. And then especially where I live, where it's hard to find places to skate as a kid because there was nothing around here. We didn't have stairs or anything. Right. You know, if you found a blacktop driveway, that was good enough. So it's just interesting to me that that kind of tapped into that, because now you could play it on your television and it looked like a skate video, but you were doing the tricks and it was challenging. Like that game was
Yeah.
challenging. Like I tried to play it again, and I'm terrible. I'm
Yeah.
terrible.
It's the same thing, man. It's like with real skateboarding, and I think it works on in the video game version of it as well. All right, yes, give me my baby. Give me my baby.
Real life talk.
Miss Sophia. And she immediately goes to eat my
Your
sweatshirt.
string. Yeah, I love it.
It's her favorite thing. And yeah. Anyway, but yeah, man, she's about to be 7 months, and it's so much fun. It's such a fun season.
Look at that hair. Holy cow. She's like got a lot of hair.
Yeah. She had this like big bald spot in the back until like pretty recently. And it's finally like getting filled in.
But like from sitting in the crib and whatnot.
Yeah. Oh, check this out. So ARSP is my buddy Matt. I found that out, and he says grits was great. I was into grits, honestly, back then, back in the day.
I don't think I know any other
grits
songs.
And cross movement. Did you know cross movement at all?
Yeah, and T-Bone.
T-Bone.
Yep.
And come ride with.
I don't know any of the songs.
Yeah, there's a
gospel gangsta.
Gospel hip hop.
Yep.
Man, there's so many just lyrics going through my head right now. What are the rules for copyright? Are you allowed to sing lyrics? I know you can't just play songs, but can you sing?
I think
lyrics?
You can play songs.
I don't think.
I think you can. I think you can only do like a portion though.
I think if you do less than, is it 30 seconds or 10? I don't know what it is. So I just stay away from it.
Yeah. I think. Well, are you monetizing?
No.
Then it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter.
No, there's no money being made, Josh Wypij.
All right, so this is a really good time to bring this up, though.
Yeah.
About making money on podcasts.
I feel like I was about to say something, though. Oh, yeah. Well, let's do that. Let's go there. I just wanted to say that because I feel like this might be my one motivational moment of this whole thing, is that there's something about, I feel like with skateboarding, and I think it plays even into the video game, where it's that kind of a game where you have to keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again until you finally get it right. There's something about like when you're learning how to skate, or you're learning how to do something of that nature, where you're just doing something repetitively, like over and over again. Because like to try to land that like kickflip or heel flip or whatever it is, like how many hundreds, maybe thousands of times do you have to do it? And when you're learning a new trick, it's just like over and over again, and just sticking with it. When I got into snowboarding, it was, the same kind of thing, but not quite not quite as repetitive, because with a skateboard, you're still standing there. And so you just flip the board back over, get back on it, and do it again, and then again. And you can spend hours doing that, and like literally test something out 300 or 400 times in an afternoon. And like, then just barely land it. Like you get it where you're like almost falling over, but you just hold your balance enough where you like, I stuck that. Like I stuck that landing. It didn't look pretty, but the first time you stick one of those tricks, it's just there's just something about that stick-to-itiveness of like doing something. I'm trying to get my son into skateboarding now. Like every time we were just at Target the other day, and I was like, hey man, you want a skateboard for Christmas? And he's like, no.
Wow.
I'm like, come on. Like I'm trying to get him to get into it, because I feel like, and there's obviously many ways to do this. Skateboarding was one that I reflect on because I lived it. But there's something about just being able to stick with something that I think really it kind of helps your psyche.
Well, they do that. It's just called Fortnite.
But is it the same thing? Maybe it is. I haven't played Fortnite, but I just wonder.
Freaking hard, dude. It's not like a
is.
typical shooter, like first-person shooter game. It is really hard. Like the stuff.
I'll play Call of Duty, and I play that, and so you're getting. It is the thing where you have to keep playing to get better at it. I just wonder if it's the same. I guess it is. Is it flexing that same
repetition
muscle
thing? I don't know. There's kids though that I knew that could, like, they tried 3 times they could do a kickflip, and I'm like, I hate you.
Oh,
I
okay.
hate
Yeah.
everything about you. So those kids turned out to do really well.
Yeah,
But
that's
it
true.
was always me that, well, I don't know. I just had too many different. I had too many different hobbies. Right.
Mhm.
I grew up like hunting, fishing, but skateboard. Right, and then playing football, and then I was like, I could never really make up my mind of what, and still to this day, sometimes I wonder like what really. And I'm not going to pick up a skateboard again. That's the last thing I'm going to do. My knee would give out in seconds. But
Every opportunity I have, I get on a skateboard, and it
right,
never goes well. It doesn't go well.
it just you feel old as soon as you hop on it.
Yeah.
You're like, this is. I would do a
Mhm.
longboard. I would do that, but then I see the videos online. Like, there's a couple like America's Got No Talent, and that's like people on Instagram just eating it all the time and getting hurt. I love those,
Mm.
but I don't want to be that guy. So I'm
Yeah.
not going to, like, when you see the guys get the speed wobble when they're going down, and
Right.
like, I don't
Yeah.
want to do that.
Same.
There's nothing that, like, I like the idea of the longboard. Like, I like the idea, but you get me on it, it's terrible. Same with surfing. I tried that. That sucks. I don't like it. And there's the added danger that there's a freaking shark under me, and I don't want that.
There's probably not a shark. Well, depending on where you were.
Myrtle Beach, they come, they're there. Oh, no way. Didn't like
Mm.
it. I had this, like, you literally look like a freaking seal. That's what you look like with the way the board is, and you look like that. So I'm looking like the thing
Yeah.
they eat. I ain't doing that. I'm done.
I still am a big fan of just like bodyboarding. I've never, or boogie boarding, whatever they call it. I've
Yeah,
never surfed. I've never surfed in my life, but
it's
I'll still
hard.
do like the bodyboarding thing. Recently we did a one of those like flow ride things at like a water park
Mm-hmm.
where it's just like the constant stream of water,
Mm,
and like I went up to the top and like jumped in
mm.
on it, and that was fun.
That sounds fun.
And
Where'd you
like,
do that?
and even that as like, it was we were in Dallas, and they actually had an indoor water park that we
Sweet.
went to, which was pretty
Was that
legit. It was
extra,
fun.
or was that like, did you have to pay extra to
It
do
was
that?
no, no,
Sweet.
no, it was there. Yeah,
With the
it was
lines
nice.
ridiculously long, and yeah.
The line on that, it wasn't real long, honestly, but it takes a while. So
Mm,
even I think maybe I had to wait for 10 people.
mm.
But each person takes probably 3 minutes because
I'll tell you this though, if you
they let
ever
you
do like work up the courage, and like, or if you ever have the opportunity where you can do like like where you not snowboarding, surfing,
surfing.
do the longboard. They're going to give you shortboard or a longboard. Do the
Yeah, you're
longboard.
supposed
So
to
much
start
easier.
like that, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're just starting out, those shorter ones are more for like
People who
I
are
think
good.
pros and people that are like doing freestyle kind of stuff. And
Yeah. I could never do it.
yeah, I would definitely try it. I'm not opposed to trying it. I just never have because I've never had a surfboard or even been to a beach with somebody who had a surfboard. Like it's never come up. I would have tried it in a
Weird.
second.
Is
It's
there
never
no
come up. It's
surfing
crazy
on, like, is there no kind of surfing on the coast of
where I
Jersey?
am. Oh, no, in Jersey we did for sure. Me and my buddy Dan, we would always go and bodyboard as often as we could. We'd go when there were like hurricanes out, not
Right.
obviously not happening in the moment, but like we'd go, we were into it, man. We'd check the swell report and we'd see, and we'd
Wow.
go out and we'd do it. There were a few spots in Jersey that you'd get. There's a Point Pleasant is a spot in New Jersey where they've got this jetty that's designed in a certain kind of way that it whatever it does, I don't know the physics of it, but it creates an effect for good. Now I don't remember if it was left-handers or right-handers, but you get some good curl barrel action
Wow.
from the waves, and so not all the time,
They
but
created that specifically for that
it's because
purpose?
of the position of the jetty and the way the waves come in. Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
I think, I mean, it was a popular spot, for kids that would surf and stuff, but I just always did bodyboarding. I
Yeah,
don't know
that
if they created it for that or if that was just the result.
Anytime I hear bodyboarding, though, I think of either like a 12-year-old boy, or I think of like a middle-aged man with one of those like shirts on so that he doesn't have, so he can go swimming, but nobody has to see his stomach.
You triggered me just now. No. I'm not talking about like body surfing where it's just your like just you, and the
Right.
wave comes and you just put your hands out and the wave carries you. I mean, you have a board. I just don't like calling it a boogie board because to me that makes it sound like I'm 7.
How about those little skimmer ones? You ever see the kids on the beach do those?
Yeah, those are fun too. I never really got into it, but
Looks scary.
I've tried it a few times. The
Looks like a good
skim
way to
boards,
break your ankle. That's what it looks like. Yeah,
I mean, it's fun to. I mean, even like there's kids that do that and they're just crazy good with it.
Yeah,
that's fun. But
so we got an announcement to make.
Let's announce it, bro. And then that way we're
This is going to be the greatest announcement that you've ever seen. Okay, it's the greatest announcement podcast I've ever had. Wonderful.
You to me that it started out Trump and then turned into the Godfather.
He's always doing stuff with his hands. I don't know. It's always that thing. So Duke and I have been toying around with an idea to start a podcast that is specifically designed for those of you who love The Office and people who are Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Me. Well, so this is literally, we haven't even really talked to. We had a text message conversation. That's all we've had, back and forth, throwing out ideas, and so we haven't even talked in person about this yet. So this is pretty cool. But it was funny because I texted you and I said, would you? We've talked about Office related stuff before, but we never talked about, anything official as far as doing a podcast or whatever. But I texted you and I think I just said, hey, would you be down for doing a podcast where we talk about the Office and maybe a little Bible or something like that? And you immediately responded yes. And I was like, man, come on.
That's awesome.
And so I'm into it.
We're playing around with some titles. The one I like so far is Somehow I Pastor.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes from Michael's book that he wants to write called Somehow I Manage, which would have a picture of him going.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a deep cut. So I feel like fans of The Office would get it,
Yep.
Like if you're a fan of The Office, I think you'd understand it. But then it also gives a nod for sure to the fact that we are pastors. And so it kind of, the Christian theme is built into the title there. So I feel like the more you mentioned that, and there were a couple other ones that you mentioned too that I liked, but I feel like that one kind of grew on me over time. So I feel like that's our front runner.
If I had any others, I don't
Patent
remember
pending,
what they were.
Trade TM. I don't know how you do that.
It's incalculable.
Yeah.
Another deep track for you. Any listeners? So if you're listening to this and you have any ideas for us for episodes that you would like to have covered, we will do our best to try to do them. I think one of the things I'd love to talk about, we could do it a little bit, is the Office addictions, and talk about the morality in the Office and some of the addictions that some of the characters have, which is a little saddening in some ways. You got Kevin, obviously he's into gambling and has money issues, and a food habit because he just eats all those M&Ms. And you got Meredith. That's the easy low-hanging fruit there,
Yeah, for sure.
But you could you could go deeper. Is Jim later seasons, is he addicted to athlete? Is there something going on there? Is he trying to run away from his family? What's going on?
Yeah. Michael is for sure addicted to Packer. To tread lightly around the Packer episodes.
Michael is addicted to women, right?
Michael's addicted to, I feel like I was going to say he's addicted to like praise, he's addicted to that thing of he needs to be liked.
Do I have to be liked? I don't have to be liked. I want to be liked.
I want to be liked.
But it's not like this obsession, this need, like my need to be praised.
So good. Oh, it's so good.
But
I
there's so
honestly
many.
can't wait. I can't wait, man. Oh yeah, so Denise said people pleaser for sure.
Sometimes he's a people pleaser, but other times he's not. Like mint chocolate chip, mint chocolate. Like no, we can't do that. She's allergic or whatever. Mint chocolate chip.
Well, he can't stand he he doesn't like delivering bad news, right? He always tries to pawn that off on somebody else or
Yeah.
somehow get out of that because he so Matt says, I wish I knew anything about The Office. Well, you're in luck.
Now you gotta start listening. You gotta watch
You
it.
need to subscribe, and
Yeah,
we're
go to
going to we're gonna
Peacock is
deep
going to
dive.
start giving us some like if we literally just got him into the office from this conversation, I deserve a check.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Peacock, hook me up.
Do you
You
have
know,
Peacock? Is that how you watch The Office, or how do you consume The
yeah,
Office
it's
these days?
still
Because it was nice when it was on Netflix, obviously, and then for a while Peacock had it for free, I think. Uh, or I think maybe the first 5 seasons were free, but then I think they even took that away. And so I actually pay for Peacock now
I pay
because
for
of
it
The
too.
Office.
I
But I
found a
got a
promo
deal
code.
where I only I got $1.99 for
Yeah,
the
me
first
too.
year, baby.
Me too.
It's
I
legit.
think they knew what we
It's
were
like basically
doing.
The Office and Parks and Rec are
Yeah.
2 shows that I love, and
I've
they're
been
both
trying to
there.
get into Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is on there.
Oh, I love it. I
Also,
love it so much.
Arrested Development is on there too, and that's a great show. I love
And I
Arrested
think
Development.
yeah, I've only seen a handful of episodes.
Oh, really?
It didn't and I thought it was funny, but I don't know, for whatever reason, it didn't grab me the same way. But
I
it was a
love it.
long time ago, so
One of my favorite
I'll have to
shows
check and see.
of all time. So
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. We don't know yet when we're going to kick this off. I think it's going to be soon, but we've got some details to work out as far as where we're going to host it and all like those kind of things. But is that like a P? What is that? PB&J?
no, this is turkey.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
You just
hungry.
had that the whole time? You had it sitting there the whole time?
I ate half of it quickly before I got on with you. Now I'm
Oh,
eating the other half. Got to take off the bread. Watch those carbs. Just kidding.
yeah. So like, yeah, I do have some ideas, man, because I was kind of thinking along the same lines, like not wanting to do because there's other podcasts that go through like let's break apart season 2 episode 5 and like they kind of go through like a episode breakdown. I don't know where you that's not where my mind is. My mind is more so like a topic around the office, and then hopefully that leads us into maybe like some spiritual discussion where we could encourage some people as well or something like that. But yeah, so I'm interested to like one of the things I was thinking about was talking about and I don't want to know the answer right now, but like your favorite like office song. So like, there's all these songs through the years that have been, it created for different things on the show. And, we can go through some of those and just different things like that. It's kind of like where my mind is on this to, have a topic. I want to look at, man, one of the craziest things about that show is the downfall of Kevin. You brought Kevin. Like the first couple seasons, he's just kind of a normal guy. He's low key.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just falls apart, man. He becomes like this stupid, like
Caricature.
yeah, it's so crazy how that happened.
Do you know why I said caricature?
Yes, because of the don't be a caricature, Kevin.
But he gives him a picture of him as a caricature. Yeah. It's awesome.
How did it feel when I ripped that just now? Better. Yeah. So anyway, it's gonna be fun. Hope you guys are into that. We'll let you know when that's coming out. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go now.
Are we done now?
I think we're done.
This is the first podcast I've done where I don't think we talked about anything spiritual. Is that okay? Are you okay with that?
Everything's spiritual.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean.
I don't know. We got way more feedback than we ever get. So
that's true. We had more going on in the comments.
we might be into something here.
That's why I think when I posted this, I think I just said, like, "We're just hanging out," or something like that. That was kinda my feeling. I didn't feel like we were gonna well,
Right.
we did have something in mind that we were maybe gonna talk discuss, but we'll do
We'll
that
do it
at a
some
later
other
time.
time.
We're good. Um, yeah, man. So, yeah, we're coming up on about an hour and a half, so
Sweet.
you gotta run?
It's easy. Yeah, I do, but it was great talking to you
Yeah, you
and
too, bud.
great getting to know your friend there and yeah, that's cool. A little trip down memory lane here.
Little trip down memory lane. We covered video games, we covered what
In fact,
yeah,
that should be the title of today's episode.
trip down memory lane.
Mhm. I like it.
I like it.
Or
Ooh.
baggy jeans and bowl cuts.
Baggy jeans and bowl cuts.
Bad decisions and sandwiches.
Yeah, and sandwiches. Turkey sandwich. Was it turkey? Turkey
Mhm.
sandwich?
I don't
Did
like
that have
ham.
lettuce on it? Did it have
No.
lettuce on it? Oh,
Mm-mm.
it wasn't fancy?
No, do you do that?
It depends, man. I don't if I'm trying to be quick, but if sometimes if I, really just want to treat yourself. If I really want to treat myself, I will yeah, I'll cut up some tomatoes and some lettuce and do it up nice.
That's a treat for you, huh? Hmm.
Well,
No, I don't know. In fact, I don't know. Like, okay, I
you
get a
can't relate to
sub.
this.
If I
You
get
can't
a
relate to
sub,
this at
I
all.
feel like if I go and get a sub or a hoagie or
Someone else is
whatever
making it.
torpedo, somebody else is making it. It's fine. I'll eat it. Like, but if I'm making my own sandwich, like, okay, day after Thanksgiving,
Hmm.
you're making one of those wonderful turkey sandwiches and gobs of mayonnaise on it. You are not putting lettuce on that thing. It's gonna ruin it. It's gonna
No,
ruin it.
I'm not putting lettuce on like a fresh turkey sandwich. I'm just talking about like cold cuts.
Yeah,
But here's the
but
thing.
why? Why? Why do we have
Because
to do that?
sometimes look, hear me out. Hear
To
me
make
out.
us feel better. That's what it is.
Sometimes I'll do it for dinner. Like sometimes I'll go and I'll get like nice rolls from the store and I'll, get the cold cuts and whatever and I'll get some avocado and I'll make sandwiches and like fries or something for like, for all of us. And then,
That's how you
I
cook, huh?
I like that, man. I like turkey with like some like, fresh guacamole or something like that.
Do you,
I'm
is
into
that
that.
how you cook in the household? Like Denise is
No,
like,
I
man, I
mean,
just
I
need
do
some help,
cook.
and you're like, oh, make sandwiches.
No, I cook for real, bro. I
Do you for
cook.
real?
Yeah, yeah. I cook yeah. Yeah, I do.
Duke's
Quite a bit.
Kitchen.
Quite a bit. I make chicken marsala every once in a
Wow.
while. I make different kinds of pasta and
All the
different
things you
different
saw
different
at the
kinds of
Olive
chicken.
Garden. I was at the Olive Garden. I
I
saw him
do.
making it.
Bro, I make the Olive Garden soup. There's this potato soup. Oh, and Matt is we used to work together at the Olive Garden.
Nice.
There's this Olive Garden soup with like it's like a potato and sausage soup and it's awesome. And I make it, bro, and if I had to compare the two, I would say that mine is better. But I make it like every, maybe 3 or 4 times a year. I'll make it and I'll make a good amount of it and yeah, but I can actually cook.
I
I
don't.
can actually cook. I really
I
can.
can't. I can run the air fryer. I'm pretty good at that. I
Air fryers are
can.
legit, man.
Air fryers are
Do you crock
great.
pot? Do you guys crock pot?
Yeah, we do. We do. I don't know why we don't do it as much because I know every time we do, my wife is always like, "I'm so glad I did that." But I think it's because the mornings are kind of chaotic, and that's usually when she's getting things ready. Yeah, I do. I mean, I grill, but most guys kind of need to know how to grill. But like the other day, Jess was gone, and I don't know what she was doing the one night, but I was like in charge of like getting the kids dinner.
Uh-huh.
And I looked around and I'm like, okay, what can I make? And I started asking the kids, and I just ordered pizza. I was like, what am I doing? Just make it simple. And of course, the little one was like, I want a pizza. I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
turds. A bunch of
So my
turds.
wife was saying, yeah. Yeah, so well, it actually wasn't for her birthday, but because it was the day before. So I was thinking about her birthday. I was thinking about her. She said she wanted some sweet potatoes. So I went and I got some sweet potatoes and then made some chicken to go with it. Had some green beans.
Ooh, I like green beans.
And then we actually went to the Olive Garden for her birthday.
Oh, okay.
We hadn't been there in a long time. But yeah, no, so
Oh,
the
that's
next
funny.
day we went and ate at the Olive Garden. Bro, and we'll end this, but it's crazy the price of things
Oh,
lately.
dude, it's
Like
insane.
people that go out to eat like regular, I'm just like, how are all these people here right now? Like, how are all these people here right now? Like, how are all these restaurants full like every night? I don't get how people are doing this, because the
I don't think we
way
felt it yet.
prices have increased
Yeah.
is like everywhere, just everywhere across the board.
It
From the
feels
grocery
like to
store to
me,
just everything. It's crazy.
I think it's because most people, I think they're assuming or hoping that it's just temporary, so that they'll do things like you're talking about and go out to eat probably more than they should. But it probably isn't the best thing in the long run. But I guess if you're what those restaurants are full of are optimistic people. The pessimistic people are sitting in their house eating ramen. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right.
So you got some optimistic people that are sitting there, or they just make so much money that they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know there's people out there making good enough money where it doesn't matter, but I don't know.
I think we're going to see that change, though. It feels like things are going to start going in a direction that, I'm sorry to be the doom and gloomer. I'm normally not, to be honest. I'm normally like a positive person, but just looking at interest rates, and that usually can tell you the way things are going to go in the future. And it's a little scary to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not going to build a bunker and, for Y2K, but hey, like it does make you think.
You just need a good friend who's going to build the bunker.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I just got my truck fixed, and it was $2,000 to get my truck fixed.
Whoa.
And it was crazy. It was axle bearings and pinion and all, muffler and like everything. It's a 2011. It just started falling apart this last year. And I started adding up, okay, if I go buy a new truck, it's like $40,000 for something that's used. I'm like, man, my interest rate with it's going to be so high. It's going to be like a $600-700 payment. Nah. Because what is that? I do 2.5 or 3.5 of those, and my truck's paid off. So, little lesson to everybody: just fix your freaking vehicle and drive it, and don't go into debt. Don't say I never taught you anything either.
Yeah, don't say I never taught you anything.
Gosh,
thank you for the
financial podcast.
Thank you for the wisdom, Josh Wypij.
And invest in index funds. Okay, that's it. Right now is a great time to invest in index funds.
Buy low and sell high.
Yeah,
that's my
and don't do what I did and
advice.
Buy high and sell low. Like, yeah, don't do that. I did that with Doge. I'm sitting on a lot of money of Doge right now.
Oh yeah,
or a lot of Doge. It means
I've
nothing.
done that. I've done that with some stuff.
It wasn't a lot of money. It was like $100.
Yeah,
and my $100 is now worth, my $100 is now worth like 22.
Yeah,
and it went up because it was down to like 13 cents. But then when Elon got Twitter, it jumped. And then at one point it was sound pretty. I think they were hitting like 15 cents again. But remember, they were up at like 75 cents. That was crazy. Anyway, I gotta go.
Yep. Love you, man.
Rock and roll, y'all.
Rock and roll. Catch you on the flippity flop. We could call the podcast the flippity flop.
The flippity flop. I like that too.
The flippity flop.
Yeah. I like that.
The Electric City podcast. I was thinking of different names, but I think the one we mentioned is the front runner. All right. Well, Jesus loves you all so much.
Oh yeah.
That's my spiritual moment for the day.
Let's pray
Jesus
it out.
Loves you.
That lady's gonna show up on LinkedIn that was so mad at me for goofing around. It was like our first podcast. I was trying to be legit and trying to be like a good pastor. I was trying to be professional for his thing. And this lady said that I was too much of a goofball. So God bless you, lady, wherever you are.
Hey, we love you. We love you. Jesus loves you.
She tunes in and listens to this, and she's like, this thing went exactly the way I thought it would go. Downhill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. As far as, all things considered, This was probably our most downhill episode, but it was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. All right. Bye, everybody. See you next time.